and we made a lot of money. That's kind of where the problem began. It was money that I didn't earn, money that I didn't deserve, and money that, quite frankly, I had no idea how to manage. I married my childhood sweetheart when I was age 29, had 2 wonderful children, plenty of money, building a big house. At that time, Wayne Sr. owned 3 sports teams, and to the world, life is fantastic. How could anything possibly be wrong?
Welcome to the Pathway to Purpose podcast, where we explore the journeys of leaders who are driven not just by success, but by significance. I'm your host, Ken Powell, and today we have the privilege of hearing from a man whose life story is a testament to the power of faith, humility, and obedience. His name is Wayne Huizenga Jr. Wayne's journey is anything but ordinary. Raised in a family of remarkable achievement, with a father who built empires and inspired millions, Wayne could have easily followed the well-trodden path of worldly success. But as you'll hear today, his story is about much more than business accolades or financial gain. It's about wrestling with the deeper question, how do you know if you're truly having a kingdom impact? In this episode, Wayne opens up his heart about the blessings and the challenges of his upbringing, the pivotal moments that led him to faith, and the ongoing struggle to align his ambition with God's higher calling. He shares candidly about the temptations of wealth, the pain of brokenness, and the freedom that comes from surrendering control, moving from the driver's seat to letting God truly pilot his life. We'll walk with Wayne through the lessons of the Beatitudes, hearing about the mentors and the friends who shaped his faith, and discover how his vision for business and community transformation is rooted in a desire to serve rather than to be served. Whether you're leading a company, a family, or simply seeking your own path to purpose, Wayne's story will challenge and inspire you to ask, am I willing to do less, to become less, so that God can become more? So please settle in, open your heart, and join us on this journey with Wayne Huizenga Jr. on the Pathway to Purpose.
Where I'd like to start with you today is with a question. One that I think that we all should ask. Some may have a better answer than others, but really the essence of it is how do you know that you're having a kingdom impact? There's a lot of great things to do. A lot of ways to run your business, a lot of things to give your money to. But how do you really know if you're having kingdom impact? How do you know that the company that you're a part of or running, leading, is having kingdom impact? Is it that you're a leader in your industry, that you're rated as one of the best places to work, you've got great engagement scores from your employees, low turnover? What defines having kingdom impact? Because there's so much we can do nowadays that is good by the world standards. And a lot of times even great by Christian standards. Your pastor may be like, you're doing a great job, all the things you're doing, it's wonderful. But really, in the end, if we're to have kingdom impact, my belief is that we've got to be following what the Lord is asking us to do. And it's not always, unfortunately, what we want to do. But Lord, I've got this great business, we're making this money, I'm giving my money away to wonderful ministries and whatnot. Yeah, but that's not what I want you to do. Mine are the cattle on 1,000 hills. Thanks, Junior, but I've got more than you. What do you want me to do? What's your calling? And will we be obedient to it? Is God asking you to do something big? People always say you need to dream big. God's big visions. True. But what if he's asking you to do something less? Lord, I could do more. I've got more capacity. I could have a bigger impact. He goes, no. I want you to do this. Are you willing to do less? To become less so that he can become more? I think that that's harder for all of us, being high D. If you were to look at the disc in here, as my guess, most of you are very driven. Hard to do less. But if we're thirsting for righteousness, It's really all about, Lord, what do you want me to do? And if it's less, are you willing to listen? Used to see, back in the day, I haven't seen it so much, bumper license plates on the fronts of the car said, God is my co-pilot. I just think, that's pretty cool. And as I became a follower of Christ, now when I see that, I want to go, no, you need to move over. God's supposed to be the pilot. But isn't that so much? And the Lord, I love you. I've given my life to you. I want to serve you. And, just help me to, we're on the same direction for the most part. I'm going to be in the left seat, and you're in the right seat. Or I get them mixed up, Bob. Which is it? The right seat is the senior pilot? I get them mixed up. But anyway, God's got to lead. And those minor course corrections that happen in flight, that happen in our lives, they can only happen if we're truly thirsting for righteousness, for the desire to really be intentional and go deep with the Lord. But I hope that in sharing part of my journey, part of my story of my life, that God will use it to challenge you. Challenge you, are we in perfect alignment? Are you flying the path that I've got you on? To maybe confirm, right on, we're lockstep, everything is great. Or to maybe say, you know what, we need to redirect. I want more for you, and it might be more in your organization and more that I want you to do, or it might be more in the sense that I want you to do something completely different, which is scary. But again, if we're submitted to the Lord, it shouldn't really be an issue. I want to start with my journey. I walk you all through the first 4 Beatitudes as we get to thirsting for righteousness. And I don't think that you can really thirst for righteousness if you haven't gone through these 3 other steps. And, it starts with, blessed are those that are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is kind of where my story begins. Share a little bit about my life growing up and then what happened that radically changed me. My pop, he wasn't always wealthy. In fact, when you heard Walt talk about him buying a garbage truck, that was the result of a loan that he got from my grandfather, my mother's father, after he sold his pickup truck to buy her engagement ring. He was poor. Mom said, honey, he was dirt poor. But that led to his first opportunity. He bought a garbage truck in Pompano, Florida from a wonderful African-American man that has just passed a few years ago and started a company called Southern Sanitation that ultimately grew to become Waste Management. He worked hard. And unfortunately, when I was 5, my mother decided, hey, I'm not seeing you. I'm not happy. I want to be more a part of your life. They were different people, and it didn't work out. We were members of the Dutch Reformed Church then. If you're not familiar, if you were to say that the Baptists are kind of over here on the right and they're fairly strict, and you were to continue over, you'd eventually reach the Dutch Reformed Church of America now, and they were really strict. This was 50 years ago. So much so that when my mother talked to the pastor about divorcing my father, he said, if you divorce Wayne, I'm going to excommunicate you from the church. You can no longer be a part of our church. And so she did, and he did, and needless to say, I didn't grow up with a lot of organized religion. My mother loved the Lord very much. She talked to us about Jesus as best that she could. She'd read the Bible to us. I made it to a little bit of Sunday school and whatnot, usually around Christmas time or Easter. At the Dutch Reformed Church, you better believe, heard about heaven and I heard about hell. I'm really honest, that other place sounds scary. I think I want the other. But like most young men, I wanted to be like my father. He was driven. He was driven before Mom and Dad got divorced, And some would say, you know what, the pain that he experienced really led him to be even more driven and to have the successes that he had. I don't know. He won't say. He's a gentleman about all those types of things. He worked super hard, became successful with waste management, and had things, had power, had the ability to influence situations, had the ability to help people. And that's what I decided early on I wanted to do. I went to college, had a lot of fun, studied, and forgot about almost everything that my mother had shared with me growing up. What God wanted me to do, who God was, that type of thing. I got out of school just in time to go to work with Wayne Sr. at Blockbuster Video. It was in 1985. I joke with my bride of 25 years, Fonda, that she never has to worry that I'm going to have a midlife crisis. I said, because I had it at age 23. Well, how can you have a midlife crisis at age 23? Well, I grew up working for Southern Sanitation, for waste management. My first job was at age 12 at the landfill in Pompano Beach. My grandfather would take me there during the summers. I worked all my life there. I worked in Saudi Arabia for waste management. So in my junior year, when Wayne Sr. called, and there's some of you that are my age here, and the phone on the wall in the hall rang, the old payphone, no cell phones, and Dad said, can I come see you tomorrow? I said, sure. I wasn't expecting that he was going to come see me and tell me that he was retiring from waste management. It was quite a shock. He looked at me and said, what's the matter? I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. He said, well, son, come on. You know, I'm the outgoing CEO. There's still a lot of family that works at the organization. You've got a lot of experience. Not like we can't get you in, can't get you a job. He didn't get it. I wanted to work there because he was there. It wasn't the same. I said, Pop, you're not going to be there. And he kind of looked at me, and if you've ever had the chance to meet him, he's got these incredible steely blue eyes. And what I read out of them was, son, I've seen your grades. Not exactly like we were going to share the C-suite together, you know. You weren't going to be there. You'd be lucky if you weren't on a truck again. Come on. So I got through school, and just about that time, he was getting involved with Blockbuster Video. So I got to work with him again there, and it was an amazing time. It was a time where we made a lot of money. Wayne Sr. gave each of the children, loaned each of the children, in case the IRS is listening, because it was true, he loaned each of the children some money so that we could buy Blockbuster stock. And we did, and we made a lot of money. That's kind of where the problem began. It was money that I didn't earn, money that I didn't deserve, and money that, quite frankly, I had no idea how to manage. I married my childhood sweetheart when I was age 29, had two wonderful children, Savannah and Wayne III, had plenty of money, building a big house. At that time, Wayne Sr. owned 3 sports teams, and to the world, life is fantastic. How could anything possibly be wrong? But it was. It was brewing inside. And my mother could see it. She tried. Son, I'm worried about you. How are we going to teach your children the realities of wealth and money and responsibility and because the life that you're living, it's not how people live. Yeah, no, I know, and what do you think? I think you should return to the church. She had, and I wasn't there. I make up excuses like, Mom, I'm working Friday and Saturday I'm working a good bit of the day. Sunday's the only day that I really have off, which is true to a certain extent, but the real truth is, Mom, I'm out drinking and partying on Friday night and Saturday, and the last place that I really want to be is at church on Sunday. As a parent now, I know she knew. She was gracious and never said a word, never outed me. But the Lord had a plan, He kept putting people in my life. And one day, I had the opportunity to go on a 3-day extended cruise on a fast-attack nuclear submarine from from South Carolina down to Fort Lauderdale, where we live. And that was where I met Captain Brad Fleetwood McDonald, an awesome, awesome sailor. And we became close friends. He took me on his submarine, the Navy submarine technically, and I took him on my fishing boat. And we fished together and spent time together. And over that time, I began to recognize that he was different than I was. That he had a peace, a calm about him that was so attractive, a vision of the world and how he led that was amazing. And one day I got up my courage to ask him, Cap, I want to be more like you. How do I do that? He told me I needed to have a relationship with God. That began my search for a church. Nobody I was hanging out with went to church, or at least not a very good one if they were hanging out with me at that time. Found a church, plugged in for about 3 years, called myself a Christian, got a Bible. I could quote scripture to Brad and took my Bible with when we went fishing together. My life really wasn't any different. Realized then that I had a relationship with the church and not a relationship with God. That changed in November 2000. And I went to a big mega church, and it was really, really kind of scary. And the pastor talked at the end about having a personal relationship with God. Was there more to being a Christian than going to church? Why did God allow you to be born? Must have had a plan for your life, things you're supposed to do, things he wants you to accomplish. If you wanted to know what they were, that I could come to the front of this big church that I'd never been to and pray this prayer and ask the Lord to forgive my sins and come and live in my heart. That was me. Stood up out of my chair like someone pushed a button and there was a spring in there, and I got sweat on my upper lip and everything, and made my way to the aisle and down to the front of the church. And the 2 friends that took me they went with me, and by the time I got to the front of the church, I fell to my knees and I was crying. Guys, not like man cry, like I'm 5 years old and just like I've fallen off my bike and I'm going to die crying, just flat out bawling and telling God that I was sorry. That if there was a plan, if he was really there, if he had a plan and there were things that I was supposed to do rather than being the selfish guy that I was ready. That I wanted to hear from him. I wanted him to take control and to show me. And he did. And I stood up. I felt better. Started to dry my eyes. And, excuse me, ladies, I was in a short sleeve shirt. And I look at 3,000 plus people. There's boogers running out of my nose because I'd been crying so bad. I'm like, oh, man, I'm a wreck. And everybody's going, yay. I'm like, no, this is not good. Still prideful. But my life began to change. Blessed are those that are poor in spirit, for theirs shall be the kingdom of heaven. I wasn't unhappy, but I was broken. I was broken through and through and couldn't figure out why I just wasn't fulfilled and feeling the way that everybody told me I should feel because of how much stuff we had and how great my life was. I was hurting inside really badly and pretending that everything was okay.
Well, thank you for joining us on this powerful episode of Pathway to Purpose with Wayne Huizenga Jr. His story reminds us that true impact isn't measured by titles, wealth, or worldly acclaim, but by our willingness to listen, to obey, and to let God lead, even when it means taking a path we never expected. Well, as you go out into your week, I invite you to reflect on Wayne's challenge. Are you letting God be the pilot in your life? Are you thirsting for righteousness and seeking to align your actions with His calling, even if it means letting go of your own plans? If Wayne's journey resonated with you, please share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, subscribe for more stories and that will inspire your purpose and your faith in every season of life. So until next time, keep seeking, keep serving, and keep walking your own pathway to purpose.